The next question is, a check is said to be specially crossed if dash is or added in the face of the check. What is this specially crossed? How do you make a check specially crossed? The options given are the word unco, if you add the word unco, if you draw two parallel lines. The third option is the words, if you add the words account payee, or if you add the name of your bank. What makes it a special crossing? The answer is option 4, the name of your bank. A check is said to be specially crossed if the name of your bank is added on the face of the check. So all of you should understand there are two types of crossing basically. What is crossing? Crossing, as I told you, is drawing two transverse parallel lines on the face of the instrument. That is called a general crossing. General crossing. What do you do in general crossing? This is the check. You add two parallel transverse lines on the face of the check with or without the words unco. That is what exactly law says. You can add the word unco, or if you don't add the word also, it does not matter. Nowadays people don't add a unco. Unco has become old hat. Only very old people may simply add unco because of habit. So drawing two parallel transverse lines on the face, please remember, it can be anywhere on the face, but it has to be on the face. If you draw it at the back side of the check, it is not a crossing. What is the effect of crossing? A crossed check, cash cannot be paid across the counter, that's all. If a check is crossed, it adds an additional security feature for the check. The check cross, it cannot, no bank can pay cash across the counter. The drawee bank cannot pay. It has to be deposited in the payee's account, and then that bank will collect the amount and pay him. What is the advantage? Whenever there is a check is crossed, you know who has received the money. You will be able to trace him at any point of time in future. In case of fraud, it is within days you can trace that fellow. This is called a general crossing. Now the question is, what is a special crossing? Special crossing means adding the name of a bank with or without two transverse parallel lines. So what is special crossing? You add Canara Bank. With or, very very important, please remember this. With or without parallel lines. Merely adding the name of a bank in the face of a check will make it a special crossing. Parallel transverse lines are not required, because sometimes in the bank people are thinking crossing means two parallel transverse lines must be there. It is not there, it is not crossed. No, the law is very clear. If somebody adds, who can add the name? Any holder of a check can add. It is not necessarily the drawer. Anybody can cross a check. And if a check bears the name of a bank, it is called special crossing. What is the effect of special crossing? The effect of special crossing is this check can be collected only by Canara Bank, because the check is crossed specially to Canara Bank. Suppose this check is presented in clearing by Syndicate Bank. The check is drawn on, let us say, Punjab National Bank. Punjab National Bank, it is the thing, customer is signed, it is paid to, everything is there. Check is otherwise in order, but it is crossed to Canara Bank. In clearing, Syndicate Bank is presenting. How do we know Syndicate Bank is presenting? Syndicate Bank will put its name, put its seal in the face of the check. Whenever it comes to clearing, there will be the seal of the collecting bank. So Syndicate Bank will be collecting this check. Can this check be paid? No. This check has to be returned. The reason for check return is the check is double crossed. That's a very interesting scenario called the double crossing of a check. It is not double crossing as we see in all these spy movies. This crossing is the check is crossed to two banks. When you add first the name of Canara Bank, it is crossed to specially to Canara Bank. When Syndicate Bank seal is affixed, again it is the name is added. So this is the second bank. So when such a check is presented, then this check, which is originally crossed to Canara Bank, but presented in clearing to Punjab National Bank by Syndicate Bank, for whatever reasons may be. I have seen so many cases of double crossing. I have seen so many cases in clearing of double crossed checks being presented. We have to be very careful. Even by a minute of carelessness, if you pass the check, you will not be entitled to any protection. You will have to shell out the entire money. Suppose the check is for 20 crores, you will have to pay out the money. So you have to be very clear, because a check can only Canara Bank, if it is crossed to Canara Bank, only Canara Bank can collect the check. If it bears the clearing stamp of Syndicate Bank, this check has to be returned in the clearing saying the check is crossed to two banks. It's a valid return. That's called the double crossing of a check. So, to summarize, general crossing means adding two parallel transverse lines on the face of the instrument with or without the words unco. Word unco is optional. Special crossing means adding the name of a bank with or without parallel transverse lines. Please remember, for special crossing, two parallel transverse lines are optional. But what is basic, what is important? The name of a bank must be added on the face of the check. If a check is specially crossed, if a check is generally crossed, what is the effect? It cannot be paid cash across the counter. If a check is specially crossed, what is the effect? This check can be collected only by Canara Bank. No other bank can collect. But if some other bank presents the check in clearing, like Syndicate Bank, the check has to be returned with the reason the check is crossed to two banks. And such a check is called a double crossed check. I have given in this slide the exact section under which this special crossing appears. Section 124 deals with the special crossing, where a check bears across its face an addition of the name of a banker, either with or without the words not negotiable. That addition shall be deemed to be a crossing, and the check shall be deemed to be crossed specially and to be crossed to that banker. What is the effect of special crossing? Only that bank whose name is included can collect the check. There is no need for two transverse parallel lines for special crossing. So when I was teaching this concept to students, one student got a very interesting doubt and a very valid doubt. He said, when there are two parallel transverse lines, cash cannot be paid, it is okay. But when I simply add the name of Canara Bank without parallel transverse lines, can I go and get cash from Canara Bank? Without collecting the check, can I go and get cash from Canara Bank without putting the check into my account? Because two parallel transverse lines are there, only two parallel transverse lines mean that you cannot pay cash across the counter. Here, simply if the words Canara Bank is there without two parallel transverse lines, can cash be obtained from Canara Bank without collecting the check? The answer is no. Why? Look at the definition of word crossing. What is the effect of crossing? The effect of crossing is you cannot get cash across the counter. This is called general crossing. Why it is called general crossing? This is not crossed to any bank. This check can be, suppose you have 5 accounts. In one is Bank of India, one is Syndicate Bank, one in Canara Bank, one in Bank of Maharashtra. You can collect this check in any bank. That is why it is called general crossing. On the other hand, this check can be deposited only in one bank, and that is Canara Bank. And this is also a crossing. The addition of the name of a bank by definition under section 124 is crossing. And what is the effect of crossing? You cannot get cash across the counter. Even in this case, with or without parallel transfers lines, you cannot get cash. You have to deposit the check for collection. Canara Bank will send the check for collection to Punjab National Bank. Punjab National Bank will make payment to Canara Bank. Canara Bank will credit the proceeds to your account. You have to issue a checkbook and collect the money from Canara Bank. There you can draw cash. If you want to draw cash, you use your own checkbook. Don't cross it. Give it across the counter, take cash. But merely by showing this check to Canara Bank, with or without parallel transfers lines, you cannot get cash, because this is also a type of crossing, and the effect of crossing is that cash cannot be paid across the counter. So please look into the portal where very interesting questions are being periodically uploaded on banking. Banking updates are also updated. Please be viewing them and learning the current trends and the latest developments in banking by logging into the portal bfittest.com. Thank you.